After a heartbreaking loss last Saturday against the Kansas State Wildcats, the UCF Knights traveled back home, hungry for their first Big 12 win against the Baylor Bears. Suffering a measly season of their own, the Bears are coming off a loss to number 3 Texas and are looking to squeak in a win to improve their frustrating 1-3 start to the 2023 season. Can the Knights pull off the W for their first ever Big 12 win? Will Big XII make a reappearance after the gut-wrenching loss to Utah? My name is AC Flo, and this is your Week 5 Baylor preview for your UCF Knights.
This season, a new era dawns upon us. From humble beginnings to national prominence.
Unbeaten, 13-0.
Our history is big, but our future is bigger.
The Knights and Bears have one of the most historically significant matchups on UCF's schedule in the 2023 season. 10 years ago, during UCF's inaugural American season, the Knights won out in the AAC and earned their first New Year's Six Bowl, traveling to Arizona to face the 2013 Big 12 champions, the Baylor Bears. Led by legendary quarterback Blake Bortles and running back Storm Johnson, the Knights played their tails off in the regular season, shutting out number 8 Louisville and going 11-1 to earn their BCS Bowl bid. The task ahead of them was no easy feat, however, as they were facing a team that had beaten both number 10 Oklahoma and number 25 Texas. Playing this thrilling shootout, the Knights ended up dominating the Bears with a 52-42 win that never saw the Knights lose their lead. Now in the same conference, the situations of each team aren't exactly the same. Baylor has had an ugly start to their 2023 season. The main stinker comes from a 42-31 loss to Texas State in Week 1. The Bears then lost their QB1, Big XII, after a brutal injury in Week 2 against number 12 Utah, which also ended up as a loss. With the next week being an ugly win against Long Island University, the Bears are facing UCF after a brutal 38-6 loss against number 3 Texas. While their schedule has not proven favorable, there is not much to like from this Waco team. Injuries are the leading factor in the Bears' lackluster play, with some of their most important players in the offensive line, QB position, and defensive positions clocking out due to injuries that take weeks to recover. With these injury bugs, the Bears' offensive and defensive rankings land in the middle of all FBS, but they still have some pretty decent stats. QB Sawyer Robertson has passed for 647 yards in the 2.5 games that he's played and has scored 1 passing and 1 rushing touchdown. However, the most concerning stat for Robertson is his interception rate, throwing 4 interceptions in basically only 2 games. With UCF earning 1 interception each game this year, be on the lookout for a Knights pick. With rumors of Big XII possibly returning for this game, the Knights may have to be on the lookout for Baylor's QB1 to return in their Big 12 home opener. This QB has more historical grounds to be a threat, completing 18 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns, and 10 interceptions in the 2022 season. Outside of the QBs, Baylor only has 1 running back rushing over 150 yards, and that's Dominic Richardson. Expect the Bears to lean more into their running game in Orlando, as teams are likely to take advantage of UCF's seemingly weak D-line. We'll get to that in a second. The Baylor air attack is significantly more explosive, with 5 receivers making over 100 yards, each averaging over 14.9 yards per carry. The Bears' defense is also pretty solid, causing 10 sacks so far this season. Defensive leaders for Baylor are linebackers Matt Jones, Mike Smith Jr., and safety Devin Bobby, each causing 20-plus tackles. UCF had their own heartbreaking loss last week against the former conference champions Kansas State. Suffering a 41-33 L to the Wildcats, the Knights actually hung on to the lead and was competitive up until the third quarter. Here are the main topics I've gathered from last week. Throughout this game, Timmy McClain both kept the Knights in the game while also being one of the main causes that handed UCF the L. We saw flashes of a very impactful quarterback that may even clock out as a starting quarterback for other colleges. That flea flicker and the decision to throw to Harvey on that 3rd and 16 play are just a few of the many highlights McClain had on Saturday. However, McClain's experience, or more so lack of experience, was also on full display when he hesitated and was caught with his pants down whenever plays didn't go according to plan. McClain needs to work on throwing the ball away when things go south and sacrifice it down as opposed to getting pushed farther away from the end zone. This is a shout out to these players, as they have had very impressive games over the past 4 weeks. Kobe Hudson has received for more than 100 yards in the past 3 games, including 2 touchdowns last Saturday. RJ Harvey was also another strength in the offense against Kansas State, making 100 yards for 2 touchdowns against the Wildcats. Last, but definitely not least, Johnny Richardson has also ran the ball efficiently across the field, showcasing that run-first offense that Coach Malzahn wants to see. In the past 3 games, I had consistently said that the defense was the highlight of this UCF team. This game, however, our defense was crumbling. Similarly against Boise State, our D-line folded to one outstanding running back, and was another one of the main causes that found UCF lying in the dust. To just put it into perspective, one man alone rushed for 207 yards and 4 touchdowns. The Knights need to work on stonewalling Big 12 offenses and containing the rush plays. The Big 12 has a staple amount of dual threat QBs, such as Kansas's Jalen Daniels and Cincinnati's Emory Jones. The thing that put the nail in the coffin for UCF's loss was the penalties. The Knights gave up 80 yards to the Wildcats that cost them the game at some points. While I do think that some of the calls had me questioning the refs' bias, penalties are still penalties at the end of the day. The Knights, especially the defense, needs to clean up the mistakes, which I believe they can still do. There's no benefit for being stuck in the past. What's done is done. Most of us wrote this game off as a loss in the first place, so I don't need to think too hard on this game. Instead, UCF needs to set their sights on Baylor and show up and show out against the Bears as we have our first ever Big 12 home game. I know it will be a blast, and by the end of the game, we'll completely forget about the Kansas State loss. I see no reason why UCF should lose this game if they are playing at the same level they have been. Timmy McClain still shows the potential to be a competent Big 12 quarterback, and he has many weapons at his disposal to secure UCF's victory. Playing at the crisp hour of 3:30, the Knights will also have an advantage against the Waco-based team. They know how to suffer through the Florida humidity. While there are some concerns in regards to penalties against the Knights, UCF is honestly better than the Bears at every position that I can think of. If the Knights manage to not beat themselves up, they will have a wonderful bounce house victory and keep their heads high as they take a trip back to Kansas to face the KU Jayhawks. Thank you for watching this video, and if you like this content, be sure to subscribe. Go Knights and charge on!